Welcome to Afra's Artifacts, where we do some archaeology of our own and dig into the queer side of Star Wars. I'm your host, Alia Morgaine, and it's so great to have you here. Well, today we're talking about Saché, one of Padmé's handmaidens when she was Queen of Naboo. So, Saché's original name was Sacha Adova, and she was 12 years old when she became a handmaiden. Physically, she's a very small stature, and there doesn't seem to be a specific reason why she was chosen to be a handmaiden, compared to all the other handmaidens that each had very specific skills that they were able to carry out. But Saché is very intuitive, very intelligent, and a great critical thinker, and Padmé trusted Saché's observation skills. She's very good at observing what's around her, at analyzing situations, coming up with solutions. She's, like I said, she's incredibly intelligent. And she understands what is being required of the handmaidens. She says, "We'll be your shadow. The point is to be invisible." And then she decides to take on the job of being a page, whereby the people around the palace will get used to seeing her around, but they won't really pay much attention to her. She says, "Speaking of pages, I think I should be one. You'll need someone who can run errands and not be suspicious, because people see her all the time. I'm the smallest and the least likely to be the queen. I'm the best choice." And another reason why she was chosen to be a page instead of a double like Sabe is that she couldn't match the queen's voice because her voice was too high. So she couldn't match that deep, low Amidala voice. So again, it says her page persona was so unexceptional that most of the government officials had already stopped paying attention to her unless they needed something. So she's very discreet, very unnoticeable. So moving on to another thing, as I mentioned in the Sabe video, the Padmé and the handmaidens go to a concert by Neurotransmitter Affection, and Saché is the only one left behind. Part of it, she says, "I've never been a fan of loud noises and crowds," but she's also sick to her stomach. So she doesn't go to the concert, and her stomach ache turns out to be her first period, which she discovers when the blood alarm alerts Panaka. Fortunately, Mariek, Panaka's wife, comes to the rescue, so she doesn't have to be completely embarrassed by the situation. I couldn't imagine. First period, and a man comes busting into the room and going, "Oh my gosh, what's going on? What's the emergency?" And you're like, "Ah." So it's pretty crazy. So unfortunately, though, she was the one left behind when the others went to the concert, and she had to rat out the others about going to the concert. So that was unfortunate. And then Saché and Yané are the only two people that stay behind on Naboo when Padmé and the other handmaidens go to Coruscant. So Saché and Yané are in Camp 4, and I'll get into that in more detail in a couple weeks. Next week, I'm going to do a video on Yané, and the week after that, I'll do the video on Saché and Yané's relationship. So while they're in Camp 4, Saché tells Sio Bibble to send a message that says the death toll is catastrophic. So that message that Sio Bibble sends to Padmé is actually from Saché. And she came up with that message because toll was one of the handmaidens' alert words, and Padmé would know the message was from Saché or Yané. And then we get to the part that makes Saché such an incredible incredibly strong woman, even at 12. So she's walking around the camp, kind of getting a feel for the guard rotation and all this stuff. And I'll get more into that in the video in 2 weeks. But she gets found out by a droid, and the droid's like, "You're walking around weird. I don't think you're really out here for exercise." And so takes her into the Neimoidian overseer named Usan Olin, who tells Saché that the adults are using her to send messages, and that if she doesn't tell her what the messages say, she will be in very big trouble. So, as a result of Saché not giving away information, she was tortured. The narrative says, "The screaming started after about 20 minutes, and every human in the camp froze. Saché had such a quiet voice. They were used to listening closely to her, to leaning down to catch her full meaning, because so much of what she said was important. The screams were anything but quiet. They were horribly shrill and pierced the air with such ferocity that Yané wasn't sure if Saché was being given the chance to breathe. It went on for several awful minutes, and then it stopped. The reprieve was short-lived. They must have asked her a question, and either she hadn't answered or they hadn't believed what she said. In either case, the result was the same, and more screaming filled the air." She was tortured like this for 3 hours until the droids gave up and let her go because she would not give them any information. And it says as a result of this, her body was covered with cauterized lacerations, bright red lines on her hands and face, and, one assumed, on her body beneath the nearly ruined orange robe. Under the marks, she was pale. Her eyes were bloodshot and her voice was hoarse, like the droids had scraped it right out of her throat. Oh my God. I can't even imagine. Like, she was tortured for 3 hours and she was strong enough to not give any information at all. And in the beginning, she knew her job. She knew she was supposed to be invisible. And she took on the role of being a page because she was really small and unnoticeable. And she's just so grown up for her age. It's incredible. And I'm really excited to eventually talk about Saché and Yané's relationship. Starts off real rocky because they're not sure about what's going on with their feelings. And then it gets pretty great. So I will catch you in 2 weeks for that and catch you in 1 week for a video on Yané. So comment down below what you think about Saché. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at Alia Morgaine, and peruse my blog at thestarwarsreview.blogspot.com. May the Force be with you.